Decorating Pages is a podcast dedicated to taking you behind the scenes of the designs of your favorite TV shows and films. Each episode, I'll be sharing design stories from some of Hollywood's most famous sets. Interviews from set decorators, production designers, directors, and actors about creating the look of TV and film, about their design inspirations, and stories that take sets from page to screen. Hello, and welcome to Decorating Pages. I am your host, Kim Wanup. I have a bit of a cold, so I'm going to keep this short because I'm not sure my voice is up for this. But what a difference a week makes. 168 little hours. I mean, they really got it done. I mean, why did you wait this long to get it done? But let's just say, importantly enough, it got done. Sweet. Okay, one down. One to go. Disregard everything I said last episode. I mean, it still could. I don't know. I don't know what the actors are thinking. I don't know how that negotiation's going to go. I hope as quickly as this one. So congrats to the WGA in hopefully getting everything that they wanted. I haven't seen the breakdown yet of what exactly they've agreed to. But they should be voting on the board early this week, if not today. And then they have to send it out for the vote to all of the members to ratify. So hopefully within 2 weeks, I think, it took the last one. Like, they had the breakdown before. It took like 2 to 3 weeks or something. So let's hope it goes quickly and gets approved if it's good, and we can work on the actors. Let's get in the room, get with the actors. Let's get it going. So congratulations to everyone. I have no idea. I'll keep you posted when I get back to work. When I get back to work, you'll know because I won't have as many podcasts, I think. Sorry about last week. I don't know, the email announcing the episode didn't go out. No idea why. And then I'm so involved in producing this film production study podcasts and everything that I forgot to do with social media. But oddly enough, I put them out over the weekend, and they did just as well as if I put them out the morning of. So good times for that. I have just been totally engrossed in watching films for this production study and having a wonderful time and a brilliant discussions with other production designers, set decorators about Oscar-nominated films and why they're great or why they're not, and what we can learn from them as set decorators, designers, and what people who want to get into this industry can look at and learn from them. So just totally engrossed in that. I'm sick because my kids are sick. That's cool. The only other thing this week I'd have to say is I met with my movie club, my friends, and this past month's movies were 8 Million Ways to Die and American Gigolo. Oof. They don't really hold up. Let's just put it, that was the overall discussion. They don't hold up. American Gigolo, it actually intrigues me wanting to watch the series that was put out last year and see how they updated it and hopefully made it better. I don't see how you could make 8 Million Ways to Die better. You'd have to rewrite the script completely. Maybe Oliver Stone can get another try at it, but there was a lot of like 1980, 1986 Los Angeles in it, which was fun to see. This week, somewhere along the line, I stumbled upon the American Cinematheque website and wanted to share with you something I didn't know that they do, which they have screenings of older movies. And they have September and October's list up. And the locations are the Egyptian Theater, the Los Feliz Theater, other venues, Aero Theater, AERO, I don't know that theater. But things like Lost Highway, Old Boy, Confessions of a Nazi Spy, Time to Die, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I mean, a lot of different films being screened if you want to check that out. So that's americancinematheque.com. I just thought I'd pass that along. I found it very interesting. So yeah, let's see, what do we got? Oh, this episode. Woof, I had to watch this movie. It was a lot. I'm not going to lie. On this episode, I speak with production designer Terry Watson, whose film War Pony won the prestigious Cam d'Or in Cannes 2022. Terry's challenge of taking over the design helm during filming happens more often than we plan. We talk about the challenges of coming into an established look and continuing on a project. War Pony follows the interlocking stories of two young Lakota men growing up on the Pine Ridge Reservation. We also talk about working with not only one, but two first-time directors, Riley Coag and Gina Gamel. I didn't know Terry. I found her very adorable and very fun to speak with, and we really talk about the respect of not only if you're doing a Native American film, but anytime you are researching other people's lives and other people's culture and how you want to bring respect to that in design and decorating. So yeah, I had a great time talking with her. This film is, I was really on the edge of my seat because it's about kids growing up on a reservation and kind of a tough life and making tough decisions. And so it's hard for me to watch anything about kids, but really good film. It's almost like a documentary. I thought it was done super, super well. So I'm glad I got a chance to check it out. So I hope you enjoy. Go for that time too, because you can't just start again. Like you have to like prep to start and then start.
Exactly. It's the hard prep, and then the cool thing about it is I'm working with a director that is just like, I understand. He's like, you just need time to like sit and breathe in these environments, and it's something that I've never heard before from any like director. Normally, it's like, okay, where are the ideas as soon as you jump in, and you're like, whoa, And so it's nice to like kind of sit with the spaces, even in the shower. You're like, oh my god, I can. Yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that or anything. And sometimes you're not allowed that because we're so go all the time, and schedule and line producers and producers not wanting you to prep too much because you're obviously getting paid and all the scary part of that. But no, luckily I'm working with a great team that's like really excited just for me to kind of sit with these spaces. He's like, I want you to breathe these spaces, like see what they smell like and everything. I was like, okay. It's just
I like it.
I'm like, all right, yeah.
Method.
Like, I wish we all worked like that. Yeah.
So nice. Have you worked with that director before, or it's new? It's a new relationship.
It's my first time. No, and he's European. His name's Peter Brenner, and he's done a lot of like the Venice circuit and kind of those type of films. And because of War Pony, it's kind of something similar, working with that environment and that aspect of awesome. Like working with the actors. Yeah, so it's pretty fun. It's been interesting.
I saw you've decorated, you've art directed, you've assistant art directed. I've seen you worked your way through and then finally found what you wanted to do, or finally got to it. So how did you get into film and TV commercials?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because when I tell this story all the time, but when I was in 5th grade, I grew up in Arizona, and when I was in 5th grade, they asked you that question, like, what do you want to be when you grow up, type of thing, and I said interior designer and architect, and my teacher just kind of opened her eyes like, do you even know what that is? Because I was a kid, like a Hispanic girl in a small, what we call now, it's pretty big now, but a small town in Arizona, Glendale, surprisingly. And she was just like, do you know? And so we had to interview an architect or a interior designer. And I did, and I kind of formulated those questions and kind of was really fascinated from there. And then slowly, went in my career, in my like high school and everything, my mom's a nurse. She's like, you should be a nurse. You'll always need nurses.
There always need nurses.
Yep.
Exactly. But I always gravitated towards, painting and all that. And I always won like competitions when I was a kid in painting. And I always found that to be my strong point. And I I always struggled to as a kid in just like generic schooling and things like that. And that was always my outlet. And then yeah, when I went to college, I went to college in Arizona, and I slowly was like, I'm gonna take a film class to see how this is in the summer, and then the next semester I switched all my classes, and I was like, I'm just gonna go for it, and I actually started doing theater, and then in order to get theater design credit and all that, I had to take dialogue classes and acting classes, and I remember going to class and I was like kind of not, I don't want to be here type of person, because I knew I wanted to be behind the the camera, everything. And my teacher was like, it'd be good for you to know how actors move so you can design better for them. And once he said that, I just kind of was like, all right, like I have to learn from every aspect of everything.
That's so important.
Wherever it comes from. And I learned that instead of being like, no, I don't want to be here, and that's how it's taken me. And then I came here, I moved here to California because I knew I had to move back. And everything's here, and I was designing a little bit in Arizona for theater, but I would focus a lot on the details and everything, and my teacher was like, I think you're really good for film and TV and all that. So I did do that, and I've been lucky enough to work under some amazing set decorators and production designers. I mean, Jan Pascal, set decorator, he's like the top of the top.
There's the best.
You can't not learn some great things from her. And then, I mean, Ray Dislich, who did Drug History.
Yes.
She's amazing.
She's
and,
so sweet.
Learning from that, and also some amazing, production designers and all that. And once I was, working under them, I was like, where do I fit in here? And I really liked, the scope of everything, and really the buildings and all that interested me. And I did a little bit of architecture in school. Didn't finish my architecture degree because I knew that wasn't what I wanted to go into. Plus, there's a lot of math.
There's so much math. Well, there's physics. The physics is what got me. And then I was like, I'm going to go to interior design.
Yeah, exactly.
Interior architecture.
And so, yeah, exactly. It's like so much math. And I was like, wait, do I want to do this? And then, I kind of like still gravitated towards that. And when I was in art department, still wanting to learn from like the production designer and all that. And that's how kind of I found my niche in production designing.
It really is. It's a lot of trial. I think the best type of finding it, because there's a set designer. You could do graphics. You could move into a completely different department. You could move to costumes. You could do anything. I mean, but I do think in this business, it's so great to try different positions if you can, or shadow, or, one project you're on, really focus in on what that decorator's doing or what the buyer's doing or something. And I think that it's such an openness, although sometimes I guess it's not, because it's like some people never go over to like the grip department or never go over to the lighting department, and you're like, what are all those positions? And camera, I think camera,
I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, I'd have to say camera to me is the most mysterious. Like, I'm like, there's a whole lot of people over there. Oh, that guy's, is he the loader? Like, and that guy's dolly grip, and this is and this is, so camera to me is probably the most, like, what I know the least, which is hard to say.
But I work with all the lighting people, and, we talk a lot, but camera, I'm kind of like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Who are you?
I talk to the DP, I talk to the gaffer. That's about it. Like,
yeah,
and then I'm like, well, you got a lot of people over there.
And then when you're going up the ranks, you also find out what you don't want to do.
Yes.
Or what your like least favorite things, even in my department. And I'm gonna say it. Props for me is very hard.
So hard. I could never do props.
It's like narrow, like you have to really focus. And for me, I'm always focusing on the grand,
Yeah.
scheme of everything, and making sure my team has everything. But for me, props is such a heavy thing. But I've learned that it's not my strong suit. And then I hire someone that's really passionate about
Yeah.
it, and they work with me, and try to give them everything I can. But at the end, I know that they're going to take over, and as they should, because they're, it's their
It's
kind
there.
of realm and not
Yeah.
mine,
Yeah.
So it's
I-
kind of knowing that too.
Yeah, that I would never want to do locations because people just
Yeah.
yell at you all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are the ones I would stay away from.
I always work with location people that are like a little frantic, and I'm like, yeah, I understand though. I understand.
They're just constantly getting yelled at and their whole life is nothing but change. Their whole job is nothing but changes and
Oh
schedule
my God,
changes.
constantly.
Yeah.
And then managing of location people. I mean, you don't know who you're working with
Yeah.
locations. You're working with, normies, as they call them now.
Yeah.
That sometimes don't, and it's not as easy. Yeah.
So on War Pony, you were on location in South Dakota? Or that
I was.
You
yeah.
were. So you got to
Yeah.
shoot right on the reservation?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. I have knowledge of working with Native American props and set dressing and everything like that and lives, and did a ton of research because I worked on Rutherford Falls, which I know is a comedy, but we're very lucky to have Native American writers and just wanted to respect everything, as is, and as, beautiful as things were, and is it authentic and everything like that. So in watching this, I have a great appreciation for the amount of detail that's put into the people's houses and like their lifestyle, just little glimpses of like, it's just a pillow on their bed, but I know that means something to them because of their heritage and everything like that. So
Yeah.
I'm sure filming on location was delicate, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it was definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I went in to do the additional scenes, and by that I don't call them reshoots, because we did end up doing scenes that were not reshoots, that were just added to the script.
Mm-hmm.
And with that takes obviously designing something new and everything. But I also came in with already what had already been shot, and we did do some kind of reshoots. Scott Dugan, the production designer prior to me, couldn't do these shoots. He was working with, I think, Ava DuVernay at the time, and I was like, all right, he's working on that. But I came in with that in mind already, had already watched a little bit of the film, and I was like kind of, seeing what he had designed, and he captured, Pine Ridge beautifully. And we think of this style of naturalism, like, you didn't do much, but on the contrary, he did a lot, because I came into these spaces and they were completely different, know, and something that I learned is like very first on when I went to Pine Ridge is like the trust that had been there already from all the crew, and the respect that had been there, because you show up and some people are like, I don't want to help you, things like that. But the community was so open to us being there. And that already showed just how much respect Riley and Gina, the directors, and Sasha and Ryan, the producers, had come in and put that. So when I came in, they made my job really easy of talking to these locations and being like, can we shoot here? Can we move this? Can we do that? Can we add certain things? And it went from that. And then just the open communication with those people, the natives there. It was asking them where their supplies come from as well, because I didn't want to bring something that was not, from the reservation. I'm not ordering things from a different town and then they never use those items.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of shopping there, and then asking the locals what we can borrow that was like very personal to them as well. And keeping track of all that is another, task in itself, because it's a lot of trust there.
Yeah. It's the authenticity and like tribe to tribe, the differences. And it is just was delicate. Like everything that I bought, someone handmade, or it was their grandmother's that now they're going to sell, or something like that. And it puts such an emphasis on, just personality, and in their sets and everything. It's the character buildup that you're giving them, and the realism. There's a lot of like just realism to this, and the grittiness to this that I really appreciated, and was like, oh, I'm screenshotting this as like reference. Like it just the best compliment I can give to a decorator, as a decorator, to a designer, is I thought it was all there. I thought you walked into that person's house and shot it. And I know you didn't.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's the best compliment. Going back to when I worked with Jan, I mean, she did Sicario, and they're like, what did you do? So I remember being in the room, they asked her what she did, and she's like, that's the best compliment someone ever could give me, because they were like, you don't want to be seen necessarily in these types of films, you want to make sure that the characters are being seen. And that was like a big emphasis from Riley and Gina, who come from LA. They were like, we're not wanting to put our stamp on the film, but actually just let the film speak for itself, like the language and everything speak for itself. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, there's a lot of me has to be taken out of the equation. That's hard for a lot of productions. I mean, for anybody to do, when it's your work. But I think it's necessary in some areas. Like I grew up in Arizona, where there's also a lot of Native Americans and everything. But I quickly realized that there's a difference, from environment. And I took that into consideration. I mean, going to Pine Ridge, we deal with a lot of like harsh conditions with weather. Yeah. So it was asking the, locals, like, how do you keep warm when you don't have a heater, And so the Native American blankets hanging, and how like they've been passed down. And so we see blankets, hanging, and that's something, not only it looked beautiful because they're beautiful, but
they're functional.
It was also for something that they use to keep warm, and it's something that's very real to them.
So when you got invited or took on this, how much prep did you have for, say, did you reshoot or redo for like 2 weeks of shooting, or was it new scenes added that was like an additional month? Like, what was how long were you there and everything?
We shot for 2 weeks in South Dakota, but we also shot, and not a lot of people know, but we shot a couple of reshoots here in LA. It was finding some areas here in, I think it was we went to Redding, California, to look for farms.
And north, right?
Up north. And so it was matching that. So I had to work really closely with locations and just go over there and be like, hey, this doesn't work, to the directors or producers, or this works, or things like that. So I believe it's hard to say, because this one, it wasn't so like, you get these dates and you go, they added a couple. I mean, I got texts from the directors later on, like, hey, we're actually going to do this pickup. Are you available these days? And things like that, so it was a lot of that. So I can't really pinpoint how many days, but I know I was in South Dakota for, I think, a month. Like we prepped prior to that. And then we prepped here in LA. I had meetings with the directors and the producers here. And they had a lot of knowledge. And then Scott also provided a lot of information. I mean, once you leave a set, you want to shoot, you want to make sure that whoever picks it up is comfortable with everything. Yeah, exactly.
How was it working with two directors?
I thought it was going to be challenging, and it was actually amazing. I mean, Riley, as we know, is a director, and she worked really well with the actors. And it was really fun to see that, because she would, I mean, I don't know if there's a scene where there's an insert of hands, like a kid moving hands, moving things around, like little figurines and stuff. Those were my hands. Those were my hands, So we did that a lot. And when she worked with me with that, I had a bracelet on, I remember. And she was like, and my mom had given me that bracelet. And I was like, oh man, I have to cut it. And then she stopped everything and was like, we don't have to do this. We can pivot somewhere else, you know? And I was like, no, I'm in for it. Like, she's like, you have to cut it. If I don't want you to cut it. And then what if you can't put it back on? And that just shows like the delicateness that she would work with every actor. I mean, I just got a sliver of that, but she would do that with every actor who were not actors, you know?
Right.
So seeing that was like really fun. And then Gina like was more of a technical, like, let's see if we could put the camera here where we're not in the way. And so it was a lot of talking to both of them, like, you know, and in different terms, but not neglecting one or the other.
Well, that's interesting to have, like, as you said, like a technical versus like the private or the intimacy of the scene and everything. I would think that balance would work out well then.
It was amazing. And I mean, they complement each other so well. Like, I know when I couldn't ask Riley, I know I could ask Gina, and I know that Gina would basically represent both of them, you know, and that it would be a representation of both of them, of what they would want. And then obviously when I did have the time to ask both of them, they come up with the same conclusion of what I would just ask one of them. And it was really fun to see, like, especially now how I trained myself to work with actors. Because I mean, I always used to be like the back, you know, as a production assistant or set art director assistant or whatever. I would never really interact with the actors. And so that was really fun to like kind of work with that and know how they move and all that, back to my theater days.
Right. See, every job, I've always said that every job you have will somehow come into play later on, and you will have learned something from that job that applies like 10 years later. Like it's a crazy little business.
I mean, in our PA too, learning from him, who was already there, a Native American there.
Nice.
Leroy, you know, working there and learning from him. And
did you have the same decorator?
I did not. No, I brought in my own decorator.
Oh wow! So almost like a completely different team taking over.
Completely different.
Well, it looks seamless. So great job on keeping up that everything, and like it just looks great. It looks like a documentary. And the subject of it, I feel like I was on the edge of my seat the whole time of like, please don't let anything happen to these boys. Like, please, because don't let anything bad happen to these boys. Like, it just, my heart was like pounding.
It changed my life. Like it really did. And just the way I move in general in my career, but also in my life. I mean, just in general, like, how I treat also going into a space now, you know, and the respect that comes in with someone's space and moving things. For me, a blanket, you know, we think of just a blanket that can easily be tossed, but for someone that we got those blankets from, they come down from generation or things like that. And it's that respect. I think that definitely has changed the way I design.
Yeah. It's just such a personal little story of these two boys. Like, I don't know. I loved it. I mean, I was like really frantic of like, don't have
you liked it
because I have two boys, and I don't watch anything anymore that's like kids getting hurt or anything. I just can't do it. I don't want to know about it. I want to put blinders on or anything. So I was like, oh man, don't do the drugs. Don't just be a good boy. Like, and then it's just heartache and the realism that this story captures is just really fantastic. What do you think was the hardest challenge being on location and or like a location set or anything?
Definitely. Probably once we walked in, I noticed that a lot of things had changed in the locations, and you can't, ask locations to keep their carpet the same or anything once you move on, And so I came into a location it was Bill's house, and the carpet had been completely gone. I mean, the structure of the house had been changed, and like the fireplace area and everything like that everything was like kind of gutted. And I heard that she had like a water damage issue. So she had to pretty much get rid of all that. So it's coming, that was like the challenge of things that we thought would be there already and we didn't have to change or anything, we did, and finding those resources to find everything back. And it was kind of, that was a challenge of you hope that a structure is kind of the same, but you walk into locations not really knowing, because they change, throughout the time that we weren't shooting. So that was tough. Yeah.
Oh, I hate that. I've done that where you go back to a location. It's like, why did you paint?
Yeah.
Why did you do that? Or like,
yeah.
like,
and they like gutted some areas in the house that luckily we didn't see, but it was like, they changed everything. I was like, oh, okay. I had to like calm down. I was like, we'll get this. And then Pine Ridge is pretty far from, it's like an hour away from like the main cities and stuff like that. So we still, that was another challenge in itself, just the driving and, going back and forth to see where we could find these materials.
Did you shoot at the same time of year, like a year later, or like, because weather-wise, I mean, it was obviously consistent in the movie, but...
No, that's a good question. We shot in November, and I believe they shot during like October the year before, like 2020 or something like that. And then we came back probably like a year after. And it started to snow. There was, there was times where we had snow up to my ankles. God. It was crazy. And that's the days we had to pivot, and we can't do the driving scenes because they won't match, and right. So that the main thing that required me to do was like to be present in the moment, because our department's constantly like, okay, you guys are good. I'm gonna head out and prep the next, I'm gonna prep out the next thing for tomorrow, and we have to, and that film required me to just be present and be like, okay, it's gonna be okay. We can't shoot, what we thought we were gonna shoot today, so we have to move on to bring the schedule ahead a little bit and shoot that. So it was a lot of pivoting, but it was, I think, also the fun part of it.
Fun. Look at you. Fun.
Yeah. Well, it was.
Then that must have been, because a month or so ago, I talked to the designer of Daisy Jones, and she said they had 18 months off between like COVID and then like time off and everything. And I thought to myself, man, you could have done a whole nother 2 movies in that sense. So she probably was working on this while she was like waiting to start that up again. I have no idea, but sounds like date-wise, because that was like after COVID, before COVID. But yeah, busy girl.
No, I know Riley was in between all of that too, like scheduling like her schedule for her interview, her auditions, and then I know she had a lot of voice things that she had to do, and I know she was between that and this, so it was a lot of like pulling from I'm sure she was like, my head's spinning from everything, but that's how we were, join
the club.
Yeah. Exactly.
Join the party, pal. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to watch it, because I don't know if I would have stumbled upon it. And that's one of the great things about this, of just like seeing work out there. And I seriously screen grabbed, like, because you get to do like, you always want reference of like, well, how is that bed stand? Or like, and having done Native American things, I know the specificity of certain things. And I was like, God, that was a good use of that pillow over there. Or like just like, especially like in the kitchens and the products and like everything was so authentic. I was such a fan of it because I have been through it. So
yeah. Thank you. That's a big compliment. It was a challenge, like, getting everything right. And like I said, working with everyone there, and the community was so helpful. That was the main thing that like, I think you really getting that support, because sometimes film crews are not so welcome in any community. So that was a big advantage for us.
Well, even in buying pieces before, it was like, well, what is this going to be used for? What am I, and it's like, well, I'm buying it for a TV show, like I can't, the bigger thing was, honestly, what are you going to do with all these things, if the show goes down or everything? And the showrunner Serena Owens. God, I'm going to say her name wrong, which is awful. But Sierra Owens. Sierra. She promised, like, I will take, and we put aside when we wrapped the show, because we didn't know if we were coming back, we put aside all of the special items that, you know, that, because they had like a museum that she took and then took like and brought back to people, or would be in her family, or, you know, all the beadwork and everything like that. So they really, you know, take care and have such pride for the items that are, you know, either heritage-wise or made, and then we'll share them again. So I have a huge amount of respect for that. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, it requires you to be organized too a lot, you know, especially working with items and materials from the community. It's like what belongs to who, and returning all those for us was a big challenge. I mean, Scott, I think they knew we were going to reshoot because they did store a lot of things. We had a lot of stuff in storage, which was really awesome for me to come in and do that. But a lot of it, we had to make sure, you know, because it sat there for so long that some of its stuff was, you know, that we had to get rid of, or we had to basically log of whose stuff was who's from the community and all that. And that was a big challenge too. But luckily, and everything actually, once we finished, went back to the community.
Yeah.
We also donated a lot of items from there, which is something that I love, because my heart hurts when
oh my gosh,
that we get rid of. Yeah,
my soul dies a little bit.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen?
In a way, I'm happy to get rid of it, but I'm also, you know, it sucks when you're like working with like trying to be eco-friendly and your business doesn't really work that way anymore. Yeah.
I saw that you have like 4 or 5 projects after War Pony that you've done, and then you were saying like you're prepping too. What else you got coming out?
Yeah, I'm working with I'm working on a film. I am supposed to leave in October. Hopefully that doesn't get shut down.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. And that one is similar to War Pony in a sense. We're working with like we're working with the locals there, but we also have a great cast like Jesse Plemons coming in as well. So it's going to be the challenge for that is making sure that we have the naturalism, working with these non-actors and then the actors that are very well known, and doing that and kind of blending those two environments together. Is probably my biggest challenge. That's what I'm working on. And then we have a really fun kind of thriller and shooting in Buffalo, New York. That's kind of something out of what I'm normally drawn to, because I love a lot of historic, you know, things like town, you know, westerns and all that. But I'm excited for those.
Oh my gosh, climate-wise, you're gonna go from Texas to like upstate New York. You're gonna be freezing.
I know. I'm supposed to go to New York. Probably. I mean, it's still a while. March.
Oh no.
Yeah, we're shooting.
Hopefully you're coming out of the winter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't do well in the snow, and but I did okay in South Dakota. I'm from Arizona. I mean, I get cold in like 70-degree weather.
I'm from Philly, but I've been out here like 20 some years, so I've assimilated to warmer climate. Now,
especially now you live by the beach, right?
Yeah, so which is like nice closer, because it's like cloudy in the morning, and then it breaks around noon, and then, you know, it's windy. Like, I'm enjoying it. I've only been down here like 2 years. I've been in West Hollywood. Like,
we're spoiled.
Yeah, spoiled. But I know it rained like the last 2 days. I'm like, what do I gotta check the weather every day? What is this shit? Like, this is crazy.
It doesn't even tell you anymore, though. It's like,
I know.
Like, what? It didn't say it was supposed to rain today.
I know. What are you watching? You watching anything that's inspiring?
What am I mean, I just watched Daisy Jones. That was such an amazing show.
So good.
I mean, I love anything period. Just the research that goes behind everything. And then I finished Succession, which was another amazing show. Yeah, those two I think I'm working on. I was watching.
Kind of blocked it out that I'm not going to have Succession anymore. Like, now that you said it, now I'm bummed. Like, it's over. It's such a bummer.
And then catching up on a lot of films too. You know, I just watched The Apartment. not too long
so
ago,
good.
which is a classic, and
So
it's,
good.
you know, those black and white films. Um, Sunset Boulevard,
I just watched that too. It's so
which
good.
it was my first time watching it too. I know
It's really
so good.
It's really fucked up, that movie.
Yes.
It really
Yeah,
that
my
and All
brother-
About Eve, when you rewatch it, you're like, oh, this is really bad. Like, this is
Yeah.
people are Looney Tunes.
Yeah, no, but I mean, just from like the character standpoint, those characters are like classic, and
Yeah.
and it was so fun to watch.
Well,
But
it's funny, too,
that's
'cause
what I'm
just-
catching up on.
You say The Apartment and Sunset Boulevard, and you think like they were pretty, especially The Apartment, like stagnant in sets, almost like theater sets. You know, like
Yeah.
her living
Yeah.
room, her bedroom, and everything. But like,
Yeah.
they went on the road to the lot once. But in The Apartment, I guess they're outside a little bit, right? I forget. But
But mostly takes place in that
that
apartment, which
apartment.
is also kind of a fun, tricky thing to do, because a film can get pretty boring when you're just, you know, we're so
Yeah.
used. I mean, now we're used to like changes, what's happening. But
yeah.
I also saw Poor Things.
Oh, how was that?
Amazing, probably favorite film of the year.
Really?
And the
Alright.
set was amazing, and everything was so beautiful from that film. Yeah, and then
Very
Yorgos is my favorite director, and he pulls it.
He's
Yeah,
good.
everything's amazing.
I'm putting that on my list. Check that
Yeah,
out.
you have to watch it. Let me know what you think of it,
Yeah.
because it's my favorite this year.
I don't know. I mean, Oppenheimer I thought was really good. I don't know what else is my favorite. I've been watching I've been watching a lot of old movies, so I'm kind of
Yeah.
like I thought Oppenheimer was great. But I can't wait for Killers of the Flower Moon. Again,
me
a Native
too.
American. I read that book.
Yes.
It was like I just think it's going to be fantastic. I don't know. I've got high expectations
Agreed.
for it.
Agree. No, I agree. I watched Oppenheimer too. I loved like Ruth's work. Ruth's
Yes.
work's beautiful.
Oh my gosh,
and,
yes.
yeah, I mean, Nope is such a beautiful film too, and the
Yes.
town, everything she created. So I watched it for that. It wasn't necessarily my favorite. I
Yeah.
feel like the music was a little too much, and maybe I felt anxiety watching it. And
I said that.
don't know if
That's
that
what-
was the
that-
reason.
That is exactly
Oh.
my it's too much. It's too much.
Yeah, I was like,
It's too much music all the time. But he does that all the time.
It was constant.
I
Yeah.
know. It's exhausting. It's
I
exhausting.
don't know if that was like he wanted that. I mean, Christopher Nolan probably did.
He
want
did that. Like
for
if you
think
if you watch like Inception and even like The Dark Knight, he has music all the time, and it's
crazy.
annoying.
I
to me.
felt it more prominent in this one though. It was
Yeah.
and I was like,
There's a like
Um,
they they're testing the bomb or whatever, and finally there's no music, and he really uses silence as like impact, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, thank God
Yeah.
we're not riding that music
little
wave.
little break.
Yeah. No, I
yeah,
completely
no, I
agree.
felt that about that film. And then I had a friend who's like, "You want to watch it again?" I was like, "No,
Yeah.
I'm okay for now. I'm gonna
Yeah.
wait a little bit."
I don't know if I need to see. I mean, a couple years, maybe I need to see
Yeah,
it again. I
yeah,
don't need to.
same. Yeah.
What I do want to
And-
go, I wanted to go back and watch. There's a movie, Fat Man, Little Boy, which was done, I think, late '80s. Same story, Oppenheimer, but it's like John Cusack and Paul Newman, and like a bunch of
Oh.
other like really young actors. But I remember that movie and them testing the bomb and everything, and I'm like, I want to go back and watch that. And
What
see-
is it called?
It's called Fat Man, Little Boy, because that's what they
Man, Little
called the
Boy, okay.
bombs. I guess.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
the Matt Damon character is Paul Newman because they were the army people. I don't know if it's the same
okay.
person, but yeah, I want to go back and watch that and compare.
Yeah. Yeah.
See what he stole from that. No, nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we're all gonna start watching things we never watched before. I mean, if
Yeah.
the strike continues, we're just gonna go back to the classics.
Well,
and
I think they're going to
shows we
start
haven't
feeding
watched.
us into like they're going to start bringing over like the Australian shows into our stream and
Yeah.
like they'll just pump in all their other markets into ours and then
Yeah, that's
we'll be
true.
more worldly. It'll be great.
Yeah, there we go. To get more references, there you go for other things. I saw that there. So
Yeah.
this there. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank
I really
you,
enjoyed.
yeah.
I really enjoyed the movie, and I'm so glad to be able to connect with you. It's been great because I would have never met you if not. So thank you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much. It was so fun, and Hope you have a good rest of your day, and
I hope you get that.
Always interesting to take over a project, whether it's for reshoots or if it's, scheduling anything, and you respect other people's work. Or like I've taken over shows in different seasons, and you respect the other decorators' work, the other designers' work, and you understand the way that you need to continue and not disrupt the design of things. And then I think gradually you kind of put your spin on it. At least I've learned to do that, but still respect the original concept and design. It's such an extremely sensitive subject, Native American culture and everything. I did learn that from Rutherford Falls. And so, as I said, I could see just the care and the research that went into little pieces in the film of decor that lend to what tribe they were in and what colors they use and all that. I mean, it's all very significant in their decor, so it was nice to see that. And look, I would have never researched that if I didn't work on a show that had that. So again, you're educated so much doing this job. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Next week, I have product placement extraordinaire, Mimi Clark, who I've been working with for years upon years. And I talk with her about the process of product placement, some of her clients, how to get in touch with her, the process. I just felt like people should be aware of product placement and the use of it, and she's great. I've known her for so many years, and she's funny. So I know you're going to enjoy that one. So I hope you got an earful. I'm Kim Wanup for Decorating Pages.
Welcome to Pro Tips for the Pros, brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads. In this series, we'll explore essential advice for professional contractors to deliver outstanding renovation results. Let's dive in. Before starting any renovation project, take the time to plan meticulously. Assess the customer's needs, budget, and timeline to ensure a smooth and successful renovation process. Thank you for joining us for this pro tip on planning thorough renovations. Stay tuned for more expert advice brought to you by Floor & Decor Bailey's Crossroads.
A lot of people tolerate ordinary. Ordinary bathrooms, kitchens, entryways. Well, not on your watch. If you're a pro, you've got a new partner in town. Floor & Decor. From tile to wood to stone, Floor & Decor has more styles and job lot quantities of Schluter, Mapei, Laticrete, and other brands pros trust. Come see a whole new way to wow with Floor & Decor. Coming soon to Bailey's Crossroads.